We often think that love is something we find, like a treasure hidden in the world, waiting for us to stumble upon it. But what if love, real love, is something God prepares us for? Long before we ever meet the person, let me start with the truth many overlook. God introduces us to our soulmate only after he introduces us to ourselves. Why? Because he cares less about who you end up with and more about who you become in the process. Think about it. When you're not ready for love, it doesn't matter if the right person walks into your life. You won't recognize them. You might push them away. You might not know how to receive what you've never prepared for. That's why the waiting season matters. We spend so much time asking, where is my person? But the more powerful question is, who am I becoming? God doesn't match you with your soulmate based on physical attraction or temporary feelings. He aligns purpose with purpose. He connects calling with calling. He brings together two people who are willing to walk the same path, grow through the same fire, and carry the same vision. You don't find your soulmate when you're chasing people. You find them when you're chasing purpose. You don't meet them in chaos. You meet them in clarity. God introduces you to your soulmate when he knows that both of you are ready to be mirrors, not just lovers. Reflections of his grace, his timing, and his design. So what do we do in the meantime? We grow. We heal. We forgive. We build discipline. We develop emotional intelligence. We learn to give without fear, to communicate with depth, and to stand in integrity when no one is watching. Your soulmate isn't your missing half. They're your equal whole. God doesn't send someone to complete you. He sends someone to complement what he's already completed in you. So stop searching with desperation. Start growing with intention. Stop waiting to be found. Start becoming worth finding. Because when God introduces you to your soulmate, it won't be confusing. It'll feel like recognition, not just of them, but of the you you've been becoming all along. And that's how God works. Quietly, intentionally, timelessly. Because the best introductions are the ones that last forever. Before we meet the right person, we must become the right person. This statement holds a truth that often gets buried beneath our cultural obsession with romantic relationships. Society teaches us to chase love, to seek out our other half, as if we're incomplete until we find someone else to fill in our gaps. But real, lasting connection, especially the kind divinely orchestrated by God, doesn't begin by looking outward. It begins by looking inward. Because in the eyes of God, love is not something you stumble upon. It's something you're shaped for. Imagine this. You meet someone who seems perfect, attractive, kind, successful, godly. But if your character isn't mature, if your heart still carries wounds from the past, if your communication skills are undeveloped, or your spiritual life is distant, then you may not even recognize the gift standing in front of you. Or worse, you may ruin a God-given connection because you're not prepared to sustain it. That's why becoming the right person matters. God isn't just orchestrating your love story. He's preparing you to handle it well. Think about the way God works in every area of our lives. He doesn't drop blessings randomly. He aligns them with purpose. When we ask for opportunities, he checks our readiness. When we pray for breakthrough, he looks for growth. The same principle applies to relationships. God doesn't just want to give you someone amazing. He wants to make you someone who can love well, lead with humility, communicate with grace, and stay committed even when it's hard. Love isn't sustained by feelings, it's sustained by maturity, and maturity doesn't come overnight. There's also something deeply spiritual about personal preparation. When you choose to grow, heal, and reflect, you're not just becoming a better person, you're becoming more aligned with the identity God has always had in mind for you. Your healing isn't just for your future spouse, it's for your purpose. Your growth isn't just for romance, it's for your calling. When you step into your true self, the version God has been patiently shaping, you not only attract the right person, you recognize them. A soulmate isn't about perfection. They are about alignment. Alignment of values, alignment of direction, alignment of growth. And alignment requires clarity. The clearer you become about who you are and what God has called you to, the easier it becomes to see who fits into that path. That's why the waiting season is sacred. It's not empty time, it's preparation time. In that space, God is refining you, molding your character, increasing your capacity to love, to forgive, to serve, and to stay faithful, not just to someone else, but to Him. Many people get frustrated during the waiting season because they think nothing's happening. But in God's hands, waiting is never wasted. Your loneliness might be building your self-awareness. Your heartbreak might be sharpening your discernment. Your singleness might be deepening your dependency on Him. All of these things are essential not just for finding someone, but for keeping someone now. Marriage isn't a fix-all. It's a mirror. It reflects who you are. If you're impatient now, it'll show. If you're unhealed now, it'll show. If you're disconnected from God now, it'll show. That's why becoming the right person before you meet the right person is so crucial in the end. God isn't just concerned with the who. He's deeply invested in the how. How you love, how you serve, how you lead, how you reflect Him. And until that part is shaped, the oh who might remain out of sight. Not because God is withholding, but because He's preparing. And when you finally become the version of yourself that's ready for a healthy, purposeful, God-ordained relationship, you won't have to chase love. You'll simply align with it. Because God doesn't just introduce you to your soulmate, He introduces you to yourself. First, God doesn't match you with your soulmate based on physical attraction or temporary feelings. He aligns purpose with purpose. He connects calling with calling. He brings together two people who are willing to walk the same path, grow through the same fire, and carry the same vision. This is a powerful shift in perspective. Most people are taught that love is about chemistry, timing, or being in the right place at the right time. In God's design, it's deeper than that. It's about divine alignment in the world. We often chase after someone who feels right. We're drawn to appearances, to charisma, to instant emotional connection. But all of those things, while not unimportant, are temporary if they're not rooted in something greater. Feelings fade. Circumstances change. What remains is the purpose that holds two people together. That purpose is what God aligns when He introduces soulmates. He doesn't look for people who simply make each other feel good in the moment. He looks for people who can build something eternal together. Think about the weight of purpose. Purpose is the reason you wake up every day. It's the calling on your life that pushes you through storms, seasons, and setbacks. Now imagine walking through that purpose hand in hand with someone who understands it, respects it, and shares a similar burden for impact. That is the essence of a God-aligned relationship. Two people walking in the same spiritual rhythm, chasing not just each other, but chasing God together. When God aligns two people, He doesn't just align their interests, He aligns their integrity, their values, and their vision. And that kind of connection doesn't come from chance. It comes from preparation and obedience. Both individuals must be willing to surrender their own timeline, their own expectations, and even their personal desires to God's greater plan. That level of submission allows God to do something miraculous. Bring together two people who are not just emotionally compatible, but spiritually and missionally aligned. This alignment means that your soulmate may not be the person who sparks the most butterflies, but the one who brings the most peace. They may not always agree with you, but they will always call out the best in you. They will challenge you when you lose sight of your mission. They will push you closer to God when life tries to pull you away, and you'll do the same for them. This is the kind of connection that withstands trials, disappointments, and even silence, because it was founded on something deeper than emotion. Emotions are real, and they matter, but they were never meant to lead us. Purpose is what leads. Purpose is what keeps you grounded when your feelings fluctuate. And in a relationship built on divine alignment, purpose always comes first. That's why God doesn't rush the process. He takes His time to ensure that both people are fully committed to their own journey of growth before they're ever introduced to each other. Sometimes you'll find yourself waiting and wondering why love hasn't happened yet. But maybe God is still preparing you or the other person to carry the weight of purpose together. Because when two people carry purpose together, the impact multiplies. They're not just building a life, they're building a legacy. They're not just experiencing love, they're demonstrating it. And that love becomes a testimony, a witness to others of what it looks like when God is at the center. So when you think about finding your soulmate, don't just think about compatibility. Think about calling. Don't just think about connection. Think about commission, what you're here to do and who you're meant to do it with. Because when God aligns purpose with purpose, it's not just a relationship. It's a divine partnership. It's not just love. It's legacy. You don't find your soulmate when you're chasing people. You find them when you're chasing purpose. This truth disrupts the cultural narrative that says love is something to be pursued like a trophy, won through charm, looks, or luck. But divine love, the kind of connection God orchestrates, isn't something you stumble into by accident or attraction. It's something you walk into as a result of alignment. Not alignment with another person initially, but alignment with your purpose when you're focused on chasing people, dating to fill a void, seeking validation, or avoiding loneliness. You tend to compromise. You lower standards. You mold yourself to fit into someone else's life instead of stepping fully into your own. This type of pursuit often leads to unbalanced relationships, where emotional highs are mistaken for genuine connection, and temporary chemistry overshadows the absence of shared vision. But when you chase your purpose, you become rooted, grounded. You develop clarity about who you are, what you value, and where you're going. Purpose as a way of filtering out the noise. When you're actively growing into your calling, whether it's career, ministry, creative work, or service, you naturally start to recognize who aligns with your journey and who distracts from it. You begin to see that not every connection is meant to be pursued. Some are meant to teach you. Some are meant to pass through. But the one God sends will not compete with your purpose. They will complement it. Purpose-driven people meet each other in the field of service, not the arena of desperation. Ruth didn't meet Boaz while waiting at home asking God for a husband. She was working in the field. David didn't become king because he was ambitious about the throne. He was tending sheep. Their purpose found them, and within it, divine connection followed. That's how God works. He honors those who are faithful where they are and introduces them to people who are doing the same. It's easy to think you're ready for a soulmate. But if your life isn't being lived with intention, what are you really inviting someone into? A person chasing purpose knows where they're headed, which means when they meet someone, they're not evaluating compatibility based on looks or vibes. They're evaluating based on mission. Do our values align? Are we building in the same direction? Do we both carry the maturity to navigate struggle and success with faith and integrity? The beautiful thing is that when two people meet in purpose, there is peace. There's no confusion, no guessing, no manipulation, just clarity, because God isn't the author of chaos. He's the author of order. He brings people together not just for romance, but for impact. And that kind of union only becomes visible when you stop chasing relationships and start walking boldly in who God created you to be. Some of the most meaningful relationships are not formed in pursuit of each other, but in pursuit of something bigger. They happen when you're working on your goals, growing in your character, and honoring your season. It's in those sacred, quiet moments of obedience that God steps in and says, and now you're ready. And when he introduces you to the right person, it's not a dramatic interruption. It's a natural progression. You don't have to strive. You don't have to force it. You don't have to manipulate timelines. When you are walking in purpose, everything that belongs to you, including your soulmate, will be drawn to you by God's design, not your desperation. This is the beauty of divine timing. It doesn't require you to pause your life and search. It asks you to keep moving forward, trusting that what is for you will never miss you. So keep chasing purpose, keep showing up, keep becoming, and know that the right person will not be the one who takes you off your path, but the one who walks it with you. When that alignment happens, love doesn't feel like a detour. It feels like destiny. You don't meet your soulmate in chaos. You meet them in clarity. This idea shifts how we view relationships and divine timing. Many people are caught in emotional noise, unhealed trauma, rushed decisions, unclear identity, and yet they expect to recognize the person God has prepared for them. But in God's design, the right person is revealed not in confusion, but in peace. When your life is clouded by internal disorder, it becomes nearly impossible to discern healthy love from temporary attention. That's why clarity is so important. It clears the path for recognition. Clarity doesn't mean perfection. It means awareness of who you are, what you value, and where you're headed. It means having the emotional, mental, and spiritual capacity to see people for who they are, not just who you want them to be. In chaos, you attract from your wounds. In clarity, you attract from your worth. When your mind is unsettled, you gravitate toward relationships that reflect your instability. But when your heart is aligned with peace, you recognize connection not by intensity, but by depth and alignment. Many people mistake chaos for passion. They think unpredictability means excitement. But real, God-given love doesn't need drama to feel real. It doesn't need constant reassurance. When God brings your soulmate, the relationship won't drain your spirit. It will steady it. You won't feel like you're guessing. You'll feel like you've known. That knowing doesn't come from fantasy. It comes from spiritual clarity. It's the byproduct of spending time with God, listening to His voice, and walking in alignment with His plan. Think about how clarity changes every area of your life. When you're clear on your purpose, you stop entertaining distractions. When you're clear on your values, you stop compromising. When you're clear on your identity, you stop shrinking to be accepted. The same applies to love. When you have clarity in your soul, you don't confuse inconsistency with love. You don't interpret chaos as chemistry. You start looking beyond the surface and asking, does this relationship reflect peace, growth, alignment with God's will? God often waits to bring your soulmate until you've reached this level of awareness. Not because He's withholding, but because He's protecting. He knows that without clarity, you may misuse what He blesses you with. You might push away the right person or cling to the wrong one. He wants you to have the vision to see love clearly, not through the lens of fear or fantasy, but through faith and wisdom. That's why this season of waiting is not punishment, it's preparation. It's where God detoxes your heart from past confusion and fills it with discernment. Clarity is also what allows you to be fully present. In chaos, you're reactive, always responding emotionally, always feeling overwhelmed. But in clarity, you become intentional. You listen better. You speak with purpose. You show up with stability. These traits are essential for healthy, lasting love. When both people come to the relationship from a place of clarity, communication becomes easier. Boundaries are respected and decisions are made in unity, not pressure. One of the most overlooked aspects of divine timing is that it often feels quiet. It doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with peace. Peace is not the absence of challenge. It's the presence of understanding. When God introduces you to your soulmate, it won't be through chaos that leaves you questioning your worth. It will be through clarity that confirms it. And you'll be able to say, this feels right, not because it's perfect, but because I'm finally seeing through healed eyes. So if you're in a season where things feel chaotic, inside or outside, don't rush love. Seek clarity. Let God sort the noise in your heart. Let Him redefine what love looks like through His lens, not your past. Because when the noise settles and your spirit becomes still, you'll recognize the difference between a relationship that confuses you and a connection that confirms God's faithfulness in the stillness, in the surrender, in the clarity. God moves. And that's where your soulmate will appear. Not to fix you, not to complete you, but to walk beside the whole healed and clear version of you. God introduces you to your soulmate when He knows that both of you are ready to be mirrors, not just lovers, reflections of His grace, His timing, and His design. This changes the entire framework of what we think love should be. In many relationships, people look for someone to meet their needs, fulfill their dreams, and make them feel complete. But in God's plan, your soulmate is not sent to simply love you. They are sent to reflect something greater through the love you share. When you are both prepared to be mirrors, the relationship no longer revolves around just feelings or convenience. It becomes a reflection of purpose, unity, and divine grace. Mirrors don't just show the beautiful, they also reveal the broken. That's why God doesn't send your soulmate when you're hiding who you are, pretending to be someone you're not, or running from your healing. A mirror relationship requires truth. It demands vulnerability. It forces both people to be honest with themselves and with each other. When you're ready to be a mirror, you're ready to confront what's inside you, not to shame it, but to heal it together. Being a mirror means you reflect love back to each other, but not just any love. The kind of love that's rooted in patience, sacrifice, and maturity. The kind of love that doesn't flinch at flaws or run from responsibility. It's love that holds space for growth and grace, knowing that two imperfect people are choosing every day to honor something bigger than just themselves. This kind of love doesn't happen by accident. It's cultivated, it's prayed over, it's protected. And that's why God waits until both hearts are prepared to handle it. So many people enter relationships looking for someone to rescue them or fill a void. But if you're not whole on your own, you will place unrealistic expectations on the person you're with. You'll want them to fix what only God can heal. And when they can't, you'll resent them. That's why God introduces soulmates when two people are spiritually mature enough to serve love, not just receive it. They're not chasing perfection in each other. They're committed to the process of growth together. A mirror doesn't lie. It reflects back what's really there. In the same way, your soulmate will reflect your character, your choices, and even your struggles. But instead of using those reflections against you, they'll walk beside you in love and accountability. They'll speak truth and kindness. They'll call you higher when you settle. They'll believe in you when you doubt yourself, and you'll do the same for them. That's what makes the connection divine, not just romance, but refinement. This level of relationship requires a deep level of spiritual awareness. You have to know who you are in God. You have to be secure in your identity, because if you don't, the mirror will scare you. It will make you feel exposed. But when you've done the inner work, when you've healed, surrendered, and matured, you'll welcome the mirror. You'll see it not as judgment, but as a gift, a sacred opportunity to grow into the version of yourself that reflects God's image more clearly. God is not interested in just giving you a partner for companionship. He desires to use your relationship as a testimony of His love, His grace, and His design for unity. That's why it takes time. That's why He won't rush the process. He knows that the deeper the foundation, the stronger the structure. He wants your relationship to stand, not just survive. So when you meet your soulmate, it won't just feel like falling in love. It will feel like stepping into purpose. You'll look at them and see not just someone you want to be with, but someone who shows you who you're becoming. You'll recognize that you were never waiting on a person. You were being prepared for a reflection, one that looks like Christ in how you love, serve, and grow together. That's how God introduces soulmates. Not as an escape from your life, but as a reflection of everything He's been building in you. When God introduces you to your soulmate, it will not be to complete you, but to complement the wholeness He's already cultivated within you. This is one of the most powerful shifts in understanding divine relationships. We often grow up hearing that we need someone to complete us, as if we're half a person wandering the world in search of our missing piece. But in God's eyes, you are never incomplete. You are whole in Him. The presence of a soulmate doesn't complete your identity. It enhances your calling. Completeness comes from healing, growth, and surrender. Before you ever meet the person God has set apart for you, He wants you to become deeply rooted in who you are through Him. That means learning how to be emotionally independent, spiritually grounded, and mentally strong. You develop a sense of identity that's not attached to someone else's validation. You become confident not because someone loves you, but because you understand that you are already loved, already chosen, already valued by God in this place of wholeness. You stop looking for someone to fill your emptiness. You're not driven by desperation or loneliness. You're not building relationships on fear of being alone. Instead, you start seeing love as something that adds to your life, not something that defines it. And when both people show up from this place, the relationship becomes a union of strength, not a collection of unmet needs. You're able to support each other, encourage each other, and grow together without losing yourselves in the process. When someone compliments you, they don't carry your identity. They celebrate it. They don't fix you. They support your healing. They don't make you who you are. They see who you are and honor it. That kind of relationship is only possible when both individuals have taken the time to do the inner work. They've allowed God to break old patterns, to rebuild confidence, to redefine love through His truth. They've stopped chasing people and started chasing purpose, trusting that the right person will come at the right time. This complementary dynamic also allows for mutual purpose. When two whole people come together, they can dream bigger. They can serve more effectively. Their love is not inward and self-focused. It overflows into their surroundings. They become a light to others, a testimony of what it looks like when God's timing and preparation collide. They don't idolize the relationship. They steward it. They don't rely on each other for identity. They remind each other of who God has called them to be. This is why God often waits to bring your soulmate into your life. Not because you're not lovable, but because He wants you to be strong enough to love well. He wants you to love without clinging, to give without losing yourself, and to serve without expecting someone else to save you. He knows that a relationship rooted in completeness is far more powerful than one built on dependency. It also protects the relationship from unnecessary pressure. When you enter into love expecting someone else to complete you, you burden them with unrealistic expectations. You begin to rely on them to make you happy, to heal your wounds, to validate your worth. But when you're already whole, love becomes something you offer, not something you demand. You become capable of unconditional love because you're not loving from lack. You're loving from abundance. When God brings you someone who compliments you, it feels natural. You're not striving to keep their attention. You're not afraid of losing them because your identity isn't tied to their presence. You are able to love freely, honestly, and deeply because your heart is secure. You're not looking for someone to complete your puzzle. You're inviting someone to build a vision with you. Side by side, that's how God works. He doesn't want you to be rescued. He wants you to be ready. Ready to walk in love without losing your way. Ready to give without fear. Ready to receive love without doubting your worth. And when you're ready, He'll introduce you not to someone who fills your gaps, but to someone who complements your fullness. Not a half, but a whole walking beside you, not ahead of you or behind you. That's the kind of love that lasts. That's the kind of love that reflects heaven. When God brings your soulmate, they won't distract you from your purpose. They will help you protect it. This is a critical truth that challenges much of what the world promotes about relationships. In many cases, people fall in love and suddenly lose direction. They drift from their goals, abandon their disciplines, and become emotionally consumed by the relationship itself. But God never designs love to be a detour. His intention is always alignment. When a relationship is truly from Him, it won't pull you away from your calling. It will reinforce that God-given relationships are built on mutual understanding of purpose. Both individuals know who they are, what they're called to do, and where they're going. They're not simply looking for someone to do life with. They are looking for someone who can stand beside them in life's work. Someone who understands the weight of their mission and speaks encouragement when the burden gets heavy. This kind of support isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. It's a shared dedication to growth, to discipline, and to obedience. Many times, people enter into relationships and unknowingly trade their identity for affection. They lose sight of who they were becoming before they met the other person. But when God introduces your soulmate, they'll remind you of who you are. They'll point you back to the path when you feel lost. They won't compete with your calling or resent your focus. They'll guard it with you because they understand that your purpose isn't a threat to the relationship. It's part of the reason the relationship exists in the first place. When two people are aligned with God and with each other, there's a rhythm that builds momentum. Each person's success inspires the other. Each person's spiritual discipline encourages the other to press deeper. It becomes less about a me and more about a we. And the we doesn't just include each other. It includes the kingdom. It includes impact. It includes the people they're called to serve together. Their love is not isolated, it's expansive. It touches others. It multiplies through shared action. There is peace in knowing that your relationship is a safe space for your purpose, that you don't have to choose between love and calling, that you can be fully seen, fully supported, and still fully on track. When you have a partner who protects your purpose, you feel spiritually lighter. You're not constantly explaining yourself or defending your dreams. They understand because they've been walking with God too. They've had their own moments of surrender. They know what it means to live for something bigger than themselves. God doesn't want love to be a source of confusion. He wants it to be a source of clarity. That's why He waits until both people are ready, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Ready to pour into each other without draining. Ready to serve each other without idolizing. Ready to support each other without getting lost. A soulmate will not demand that you choose them over your mission. Instead, they'll help you build the mission, pray over it with you, and protect it when distractions arise. This is why patience is so vital in the waiting season. If you're still learning how to protect your purpose on your own, you're not ready to share that responsibility with someone else. And if the person you're interested in isn't walking in alignment with their own calling, how can they respect yours? God knows this, and that's why His timing is perfect. He doesn't bring your soulmate to you when you're focused on proving yourself. He brings them when you're secure in who you are and committed to where you're going. When you meet the one God has for you, there will be an unshakable sense of support. Even in disagreement, there will be unity. Even in challenge, there will be alignment, because the relationship isn't based on fleeting emotions. It's rooted in shared mission. You won't feel like you have to choose between love and purpose, because love will be part of your purpose. It will fuel it. It will guard it. It will guard it. It will push it further than you could have gone alone. And in that kind of love, you won't lose your direction. You'll gain deeper insight. You'll have someone beside you who prays with you, dreams with you, and walks with you, not behind you, not ahead of you, but in step with you. That's how you'll know it's God. Not just because it feels good, but because it keeps you aligned with everything He created you to be. God does not just prepare the person for you, He prepares you for the person. This is where the depth of divine relationships begins. Before you ever cross paths with the one meant to walk beside you, God is doing an unseen work in your heart, mind, and soul. Because a soulmate is not simply someone you stumble upon. They are someone you become ready for. And readiness is not about appearance, charm, or status. It's about spiritual, emotional, and mental maturity. It's about being shaped into the kind of person who can carry love well, steward hearts wisely, and build something lasting. Preparation is not always glamorous. Often it's painful. It looks like seasons of loneliness that stretch your faith, moments of disappointment that strengthen your resilience, and lessons that teach you how to love without control or fear. God uses this time not to punish you, but to prune you. He strips away the false identities, the insecurities, the selfish habits, and the unhealthy expectations that would sabotage a meaningful relationship. Because He knows that if you meet the right person at the wrong time, your unprepared heart might ruin what He intended to bless in this preparation. You begin to understand love in its purest form. Not as a feeling, but as a choice. A choice to be patient. A choice to forgive. A choice to serve. You stop waiting for someone to bring joy into your life, and you start creating it in partnership with God. You stop blaming others for your brokenness, and you start healing through grace. You begin to recognize that love is not something you demand. It's something you develop within yourself first, so that when the time comes, you're ready to give it freely. God is also preparing your capacity to receive love. Sometimes we're so hurt, guarded, or self-reliant that we reject the very connection we crave. We're afraid of being seen, afraid of being known, afraid of needing someone. But God uses your preparation season to soften those edges, to build trust in Him so you can eventually trust in another. He teaches you how to set boundaries without building walls, how to express needs without guilt, how to let love in without fear of losing control. You don't just need to be ready to love, you need to be ready to grow. Because the person God is preparing for you is also evolving. They're going through their own wilderness, their own refining. And when you finally meet, you'll both realize that the wait wasn't about delay. It was about becoming. You were becoming someone who could love without conditions. Someone who could stay committed when things got hard. Someone who doesn't just fall in love, but chooses it daily. This kind of preparation deepens your sense of purpose. You begin to see relationships not as an escape from your life, but as a way to expand your life. You're not just thinking about chemistry, you're considering character. You're not just seeking attraction, you're valuing alignment. You want someone who doesn't just make you feel good, but who makes you better. And in that same pursuit, you're becoming that for someone else too. There is a divine rhythm in this process. As God works on you, He's also working on them. The timing may feel unclear, but the preparation is never wasted. Every hard conversation, every healed wound, every time you chose growth over comfort, it all adds up. You're being equipped to not just recognize your soulmate, but to honor them. To be someone who can be trusted with their heart, their dreams, their scars, so don't rush the process. Don't despise the waiting. Let God finish what He started in you. Because when you meet the one He has for you, it won't be because you were lucky, it will be because you were ready. Ready to build something sacred. Ready to give and receive love without fear. Ready to walk in partnership, not possession. Ready not just to find your person, but to be the person someone else has been praying for. That's how God introduces soulmates. Not just through timing, but through transformation. He prepares the blessing and the vessel to hold it. You are that vessel. And when you're whole, humble, and healed, then comes the divine connection that was being written into your story all along.